Today from the Superdome, it's the Denver Broncos versus the New Orleans Saints. Brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Pontiac, we build excitement. And by Apple Computer, maker of Apple II and Macintosh personal computers, giving you the power to be your best in home, school, and business.
With Pro Football Hall of Famer Merlin Olsen, this is Dick Enberg welcoming you to the Superdome in the Crescent City, New Orleans. A sellout crowd of nearly 70,000 fans to see the top team in the NFC West, the hometown Saints, against the defending AFC champions, the Denver Broncos. Denver at 6-5, currently in a 3-team tie for the lead in the AFC West. The Broncos in white lost the toss of the coin, will kick it off to the Saints in black. And New Orleans, a city that is marching to a winning beat thanks to Jim Mora's success of the last 3 years. We're underway. It comes down to Mel Gray at the 8-yard line. Gray, a speedster from Purdue, down at the 24 in the grasp of Tyrone Braxton. Bobby Hebert, a Cajun who played his high school ball in the New Orleans area. Reuben Mays and Buford Jordan, the running backs. Eric Martin with 60 catches, second in the NFL. Mo Hill, the son of J.D. Hill, are the wide receivers. John Tyson, outstanding blocking tight end. Jim Dombrowski, Brad Edelman, Steve Court, Steve Trapillo, and Darren Gilbert, the offensive line. Here's Hebert, who played his college ball at Northwestern Louisiana. Comes out throwing. And it's almost intercepted. It goes through the hands of Brenner right into the midst of John Tice. From one tight end to another. That's tough to do.
A few years ago, that would have been illegal, but now it's legal to bounce it off one offensive back and even bat it into the hands of another. Hebert trying to get right up the middle. Watch this ball as it rips through the hands right there. A chance at an interception touched by a defender, Klosterman, number 97, and then scooped up by Tice.
Well, a ricochet 9-yard gain to open play here in the Superdome. Reuben Mays, the lone setback. Hebert to Mays. Short yardage, but a first down out at the 37-yard line. Rick Dennison made the tackle along with Jim Ryan. Defensively, the Broncos have Boyer, Reagan, who leads the team in tackles with 106, and Andre Townsend. Simon Fletcher having a Pro Bowl year. Klosterman for the injured Mecklenburg. Rick Dennison and Jim Ryan, two veterans. Mark Haynes and Mike Harton at the corners. Dennis Smith and Jeremiah Castile, the safeties. First down, Hebert and the Saints. Mays. Dennis Smith playing up on the line of scrimmage. A strong safety got an early piece of him, and Jim Ryan secured the tackle. Dan Reeves, head coach of the Broncos, relieved at the fine play of the Broncos last Sunday when they beat the Cleveland Browns, led 30-0 at the half.
But he didn't want anybody to get too excited. He said that's just 1 week. We need a long streak of victories here if we're going to win our division and get back to the playoffs.
Second down and 7. With a first down at the 46-yard line of Denver. Hebert tripping, but had the presence and some good blocking to be able to wheel out of trouble. And on the run, find Martin, the 61st catch of the year for Martin.
Turning a mistake into a big play. He wants to hand the ball off to Reuben Mays right there. Falls down, but I think it may have been a play-action pass because as he gets back up, he gets a little time, still has the presence to throw that ball into open territory, pick up the first down.
Hebert to Reuben Mays. And the former Washington State star is to the 40-yard line. A gain of 6.
Early in the year, Reuben Mays had a holdout problem, a contract problem that caused some ill feeling. He walked out of camp, and yet here he is coming back, getting a chance to start for the second time this season. And watching him in practice, his legs look like they're very fresh. He's one of those shock troops, Dick. Welcome back reserve at this time.
Yeah, he has happy feet. He and Dalton Hilliard have shared the running responsibilities, both with the middle 400s in yards gained. 2nd and 4. Mays again. Out of bounds, a first down at the 33. Steve Port, the center, with a fine block, an 8-yard pickup.
One of the best blocks on that play thrown by Jim Dombrowski. They use a lot of combination blocks. Number 72, watch him brush by and then go in to pick up the linebacker, Dennison, right there. Look at that great contact. Simply won't let him go and finally pushes him to the ground. Some great lead blocking by Dombrowski.
The Saints team, not spectacular, but consistent in victory and defeat all season long. 8-3. Their 3 losses by a total of only 6 points. They don't really beat up on anyone, but they stay in every game, and that's Mora's philosophy. We want to have a chance to win it in the 4th quarter. A little dump-off pass to Mays, and he's down to the 27-yard line. Boyer from behind made the tackle. 6 more yards for the Saints.
An excellent reaction by Walt Boyer in the game last week against Cleveland. It was Boyer who came out on a screen pass to force one of those critical Cleveland turnovers. Oh, he's playing very alert football in there at that left defensive end position.
Now the Saints take the opening kickoff and have marched chunks of 5, 6, 7, 8 yards. And it's 2nd and 3 for Hebert. That to the delight of the offense. To Martin. And off his fingertips, Dennis Smith came over to cover. It'll be 3rd and 3. That's the first ball that's hit the ground for Jim Mora's quarterback. There he is, a handsome 53-year-old who was an end defensively and offensively at Occidental College in Southern California. His roommate, Jack Kemp, the congressman from the state of New York now, but the former quarterback great with the Buffalo Bills. Four wide receivers. Hebert in the shotgun for the first time. Wide open is Martin. And a first down at the 16. Steve Wilson made the tackle, but Martin letting his other wide receiver clear long. He cut underneath and was all alone.
Most of the passes you'll see the Saints throw are timing patterns. And watch that pattern. They're working on Steve Wilson, 45, in the nickel package. But that ball thrown so quickly that there's no time to get pressure on Hebert. And that ball thrown right where it had to be thrown to pick up the first down. They just nickel and dime you to death, Dick.
Martin in his 4th year out of LSU is to the right. Lonzel Hill to the left. On first down, it's Reuben Mays. And he has 9 more yards. So the Saints marching toward an early score. First, let's go to New York and Gail Gardner.
All right, Dick, we're going to take a look at the tying touchdown at Arrowhead. The Chiefs and the Seahawks. Dave Craig back, goes 14 yards to the rookie Brian Blades. The Chiefs-Seahawks tied at 24 apiece. Chiefs trying to move in now for the winning field goal. Let's go back to New Orleans.
And a critical game, that Seattle contest for the fans watching up in the Mile High City. Denver, the Raiders, the Broncos, the Seahawks all at 6-5 atop the west of the AFC. 2nd and a yard for Hebert. This is almost a free down for him. It's back to Reuben Mays. And he's down close to the 2-yard line. 1st and goal, New Orleans.
The Saints very quick to attack the rushing defense of the Denver Broncos. The Broncos next to last in the NFL. Only Kansas City with a worst average. They've given up an average of 4.6. And of course, you come into a ball game, you've got to attack the weaknesses. And Joe Collier's defense, they've always given up yards. But the one thing that has saved them in past years is the turnover, especially down here in tough territory. And I'm sure that that's what Collier is thinking about right now. How can we shake that ball loose?
Well, they got 4 of them last week against Cleveland. Here's Mays. Touchdown. Around Mike Harden for the score.
Reuben Mays into the end zone, and those fresh feet, fresh legs and happy feet. You saw them there. Very fine fake to freeze the defenders momentarily, and Reuben Mays just outruns everyone into the far corner of the end zone.
His 3rd touchdown of the year, and we commented on that yesterday at the Saints practice that Reuben Mays, he just, for a back in November, he just looked like somebody that just came to camp. Here's Morton Anderson, some regard as the best leg in the NFL for the extra point, and it's 7-0. 76 well-engineered yards in a dozen plays, and Reuben Mays with a heavy workload on that opening drive.
The thing we'd like you to look for on this play is just the freezing job that Reuben Mays will do on the linebackers and the defensive backs. As he starts to his right, watch him fake to the inside, just a little stutter step. All he needed was the momentary hesitation, and then he's able to outleg Dennison into the far corner of the end zone.
Reuben Mays and the Saints lead 7-0. Here's our first 10-minute ticker. The Jets trying to slow down a Buffalo team that wants to celebrate an AFC Eastern title. Cincinnati apparently is going to hand Dallas another loss. We'll see Dallas and Houston Thanksgiving Day. Houston on its way to an important win against Phoenix. Cleveland has defeated Pittsburgh 27-7. Chicago apparently will win again at Tampa Bay. And the Vikings, in an all-field goal game, defeat the Colts and stop the Colts win streak at 5 in a row. Kansas City and Seattle, as we know now, well, Kansas City's gone ahead, has just kicked a field goal in the final minute of that game, and Detroit gives Wayne Fontes victory in his first head coaching day in the NFL. Late games, the Eagles score early against the Giants at the Meadowlands. San Diego and the Rams, no score. Atlanta and the Raiders. Big game for the L.A. Raiders, who just quietly using their defense in the thick of the playoff picture.
2 of the best kickoff men in the league today. Let's see what Morton Anderson does with his first kick.
Oh, he roots this one high and halfway into the end zone, where Jason Johnson will take the touchback. So Denver has it at the 20, and we go to New York.
All right, Dick, we're going to take a look at that Nick Lowry field goal. The game is not over yet. This is Lowry from 41 yards out to give the Kansas City Chiefs the lead over the Seahawks, 27-24, his second of the game. There are just seconds remaining. Let's go back to New Orleans.
And we understand, Gail, that Buffalo, with the Jets trying to win it in the final seconds, blocked a Jet field goal. So that's still tied at 6. And here's John Elway. Boy, this was a hot ticket in New Orleans. A lot of fans here in the South wanted to see Elway, who may have as much star quality as any NFL player. They come out with a reverse to Natil, and he gains 2 yards. It didn't fool Sam Mills, the 5'9" linebacker from Montclair State, and Dave Waymer, the veteran cornerback from Notre Dame. There's Mills, and talking with Moore yesterday, and of course Mills came out of the USFL, where he and Mike Johnson of the Cleveland Browns were Moore's 2 inside linebackers. Couldn't say enough nice things. He's not just a little guy, he's a great player, he feels. We welcome those of you who have watched the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game. The Browns' hopes of a playoff wild card at least still alive. Tony Dorsett out to the 29, short of a first down by a yard. The New Orleans Saints took the opening kickoff, marched without a hiccup down for a score, and Reuben Mays a 2-yard run. Broncos offense has Elway at quarterback. Dorsett and Winder will share the running chores. Natil, Vance Johnson. We'll also see Mark Jackson. Clarence Kay, the tight end. Juriga Keith Bishop back in the starting lineup. Despite the broken thumb, Billy Bryan at center, Keith Karts and Ken Lanier, the offensive line.
It looks like Bishop is not going to be in there.
Gerald Perry is in there now. Shotgun 3rd and 1 for Elway. Out of the backfield, he overshoots Gerald Wilhite. Wilhite was open, and the Broncos, unable to pick up a first down, will have to punt it away.
One of the things that Elway and Dan Reeves wanted to do today is get off to a good start. Last week they got 10 first quarter points. They had been shut out the 5 previous weeks in the first quarter, Dick, and Elway not able to get things cranking here.
Mike Horan, who has the best net average, nearly 40 yards a kick in the NFL. He's 3rd overall with 44.5 yards. Mill Gray deep for New Orleans. Not a deep kick. Gray comes up to get it at the 31. And out of bounds, he stepped at the 41-yard line. Horan, who has very quietly become one of the outstanding punters in the National Football League, but gets only 40 yards on that punt with a 10-yard return. That's a 30-yard net. He won't be happy with that.
Had a 62-yard net on one kick last week, a 59-yard punt, and then a 3-yard loss on the return.
Now the Saints, who didn't even hint at being stopped on their first drive, take over at the 41-yard line. Good position for Bobby Hebert, who sends Eric Martin to the right. Lonzo Hill to the left. And the give to Reuben Mays. Not this time. Mays dropped for a loss as Simon Fletcher helps out Dennis Smith. Smith up from safety to make the early hit.
Simon Fletcher, a defensive lineman, converted to linebacker, able to stand up well at the point of attack. He's going to take on John Tice, who's an excellent blocker, as you mentioned earlier, Dick, and then just break to the outside. And Dennis Smith, who's a very aggressive, strong safety, already had broken inside to get a piece of Mays, and they took him down together.
Smith playing up so tight. Undoubtedly, the Saints will try to exploit that. Try to draw him in on a run and throw over the top. 2nd and long. Mays fumbles, and does it count, or was the ball ruled dead?
It looked like he was on the ground when the ball ruled to be dead at the point that he was taken to the ground, but I'm sure that replay officials will take a quick peek at that one.
Freddie Gilbert thought he had the pumpkin. Andre Townsend there as well. It's a first down for Mays.
And this is something that the Saints have done well all year, and that is to stay out of those 3rd and extremely long situations. They're saying it was no fumble. Will be a first down. In that situation, I'm sure Denver was looking for the pass, and they just crossed them up and able to pop those quick-footed Reuben Mays right through into the secondary to pick up that big first down.
Eric Martin. And on the flanker screen, the Saints have 9 more yards before Michael Brooks, who played nearby at Baton Rouge at LSU, can bump him out of bounds.
Eric Martin, one of the NFL's finest, does a couple of things that are very interesting. He's one of those wide receivers that is absolutely fearless after he catches the ball and going through traffic. He's not afraid to take any kind of shot you want to throw at him. It's one of the reasons he's so valuable to this offense.
He was a 7th-round pick in 1985. He started today just 2 receptions behind the brilliant rookie tight end of the Eagles, Keith Jackson. Jackson was 62, Martin with 60 catches, and he already has 3 in the first quarter. It was a first down, so 1st and 10 at the 36 of Denver. The tight end, Tice, And he struggles for a couple of more. That'll be 9. And we welcome those of you who have seen a thrilling finale at Arrowhead as Kansas City, Lowry's field goal beats Seattle 27-24. Seahawks Mike Tice, tight end, sees now his brother John Tice with the catch at the Denver 28. It's 7-0 New Orleans as they scored on the opening drive, and they're moving well again as you see the other scores. Second and 2. Mays picking his spot and is down to the 26-yard line, close to a first down. Other scores: Cleveland a winner, the Bears win again, Minnesota, Kansas City a victor, Detroit winning, and we understand Buffalo now has beaten the Jets 9-6. So the Bills celebrate a very early division championship, and there are the late scores.
Ordered, playing in an eligible position.
Comiskey, the extra tight end, number 66, will be in there at an offensive receiver's position on the right-hand side.
On 3rd and inches. Mays, I don't think he made it. Looked as if he was tripped up by Rulon Jones. Dennis Smith again was the man charging into the backfield, number 49.
They tried to go in behind Gilbert and Comiskey on the right-hand side, and Smith got good penetration, got a piece of Reuben Mays, and I believe you're right, Dick. They're saying no, and this might be interesting if they don't get it. The Saints have not gone a single time for a 4th down on the year. Have not tried it a single time, playing the percentages, so this is a first.
They're the only team that had not tried 4th down conversion, and here is the initial attempt. It goes to Dalton Hilliard. He might go all the way. Jeremiah Castile shoulders him down at the 15-yard line. Hilliard, who played at LSU. And what blocking by the Saints.
Buford Jordan threw a very fine lead block on Mark Haynes, number 36. Watch number 23 as he kicks his man to the outside. This is the critical block right there. And Hilliard, who is a quick and explosive back, showing you great moves. Jeremiah Castile, number 28, finally roping him out of bounds, but he's got the first down. And the Saints moving like a well-oiled machine. They haven't been stopped yet.
Hebert dumps it off to Hobie Brenner, and Brenner in Southern California has 4 yards. Saints are threatening. We go to New York.
All right, Dick, in Buffalo, the Bills clinched the AFC East with an overtime win over the Jets after a Roger Vick fumble. Scott Norwood from 30 yards out, 9-6 the final, 3:47 of overtime. Let's go back to New Orleans.
Boy, what a difference a couple of years make. The Buffalo Bills are the champions of the AFC East and with the best record in the National Football League. And apparently, unless total disaster would strike, will be the host team in January up at Rich Stadium in the playoffs. 2nd down, 6 for the Saints. Dalton Hilliard out of bounds at the 1-yard line, maybe the 2. First down, Saints. Boy, this is a running machine.
You have to be impressed with what the New Orleans Saints are doing very quickly and exploiting Denver's weak rushing defense. But watch Hilliard break out of a tackle attempt right there and then just take a shot and still didn't lose his balance. This crowd doesn't hurt him either. They are in this ball game.
Well, they've waited a long time to cheer a winner in New Orleans. Some thought it would never happen, some of the veteran fans of this great city. First and goal. Hebert just outside the 1-yard line. Flag down. Hilliard strolling into the end zone. Let's see if it counts.
Someone jumped on the line of scrimmage. I could not tell if a Saint lineman moved early, but obviously there was someone in the neutral zone.
Touchdown is good. Penalty is declined.
13-0. The Saints in this opening quarter with 3:09 left, and Jim Morris' team has just taken it right to the Denver defense. So you're going to have to stop the run, and there has been no hint of that thus far from the Broncos.
Saints coming off a 3-week span in which they did not go over 100 yards rushing, but they keep this up, they're going to be over 200 today.
Here's Morton Anderson. Right. When they say split the uprights, a football cliche, they had Morton Anderson in mind. Oh, my. A playoff team last year, the New Orleans Saints, have really thrilled the Superdome crowd this year and continue today in the first quarter. You were here when it all began for New Orleans in 1967.
Came in here to play in the first game that they played, regular season game, and not here, obviously, in the Sugar Bowl. And I'll never forget, they ran the first kickoff back for a touchdown. The noise was so loud in that stadium that it hurt your ears, and they couldn't get the game started for about 5 minutes because of the bedlam.
I remember that game well. John Gilliam returned the opening kickoff. And this kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. Ken Bell and Jason Johnson deep. Neither will get a chance to run it out as Anderson sends it 5 yards beyond the goal line. In New Orleans, 14-0 Saints. Welcome back to New Orleans, the Superdome. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. We welcome those of you who have seen the Bills and the Jets as the Bills clinch the AFC East in overtime. Here, Dan Reeves' defense unable to stop New Orleans, especially on the ground. Saints have rolled off two very impressive scoring drives from the opening kickoff, and Jim Morris' team leads 14-0 with 3 minutes left in the first quarter. The Broncos had the ball for the second time, the first time unable to pick up a first down.
Crowd trying to make it difficult for Elway to get his signals heard.
Good protection. He goes to the tight end, Clarence Kay, who has a first down out across the 30-yard line. Sam Mills, the shortest of NFL linebackers, makes the tackle. Frank Warren. Bruce Clark moves inside with the injury to Tony Elliott. Elliott won't play today. Jim Wilkes, the other outside end. Ricky Jackson, a fine linebacker. Sam Mills. Vaughn Johnson, the leading tackler. Pat Swilling. That's an excellent core of backers. Waymer and Jakes at the corner. Gibson and Maxey, the safeties. Elway. Well, it looked almost like a busted play. Again, the tight end, Kay, and he's out to the 43. Apparently another first down. Frank Warren, number 73, and 51 Mills in on the tackle.
In last week's big win over Cleveland, it was Orson Mobley featured heavily. This week, the package seems to feature Kay.
You see the other scores. Understand Miller of San Diego returned to kick off some 97 yards for a score to give the Chargers a 14-7 lead against the Rams. First down Broncos on back-to-back passes to Clarence Kay. The draw to Winder. It drew four Saints tacklers to the ball. Wilkes and Swilling there first.
Dick, one of the basic differences between these two offenses, Denver wants to play big play football. They're like a hitter that's swinging for the fence. And Dan Reeves has always felt that the best way to get scoring control of a game, or the way they can do it best, is to utilize the great speed they have outside and Elway's strength in throwing the football. They're not the kind of team that will do a great deal of running unless they can find a weakness.
On the other hand, the Saints are the picture of patience.
They certainly are.
Winder on a draw has some room, and a first down as Well, they're close to it at the New Orleans 47-yard line. Vaughn Johnson, number 53, and 39, Brett Maxey, in on the stop.
This is the kind of running play you will see, and it comes directly out of the passing play. Denver throws so many passes, you get looking for a pass, they hit you up the middle with a draw play. And Winder, who has excellent eyes at picking the hole and a kind of a snaking style in traffic, able to get down and pick up the first down. This drive, very, very important for Denver. They've got to get themselves back into the scoring flow of this game.
Final seconds of the first quarter, 3 consecutive first downs for Denver on this drive.
Going deep.
Elway going long for Johnson, and could not make the catch as Dave Waymer shielded him from the ball.
It looked like that ball came out of Elway's hands. Elway does not have huge hands, and that ball looked to break loose out of his hand.
And so the end of the first 15-minute period, 14-0 New Orleans. We hope you'll enjoy that Thanksgiving Day special. Houston and Dallas, the Battle of Texas. And Dallas a loser again today despite Herschel Walker's 131 yards.
Frank Warren, number 73, pressure on Elway, and Elway looked to lose that ball that came rocking out of his hand as he threw it very short.
And Vance Johnson, actually, with Waymer trying to cover him, had a chance on the short ball, but Waymer, good position on the inside. 2nd and 10. Broncos open the second quarter. Vance Johnson unable to pick it off over the middle. We welcome those of you who have seen the Cincinnati Bengals maintain their spot atop the AFC Central with a win at Texas Stadium over the Dallas Cowboys. This is Dick Enberg, Merlin Olsen. The first quarter statistics will show you how the Saints have dominated play early, 135 yards to 43, using their ground game. 2 long, impressive Saints drives to touchdowns, and they lead 14-0. This is the first time Denver has moved the ball. They're in Saints territory, 3rd and 10. Elway eludes the pressure of Cook, has a man open, Ricky Nattiel, and he's caught at the 33. It'll be a first down.
Nattiel wanted to lateral that ball to Vance Johnson. He was thinking about it at the end of that run. Elway, who early in the year had trouble eluding the rush, gets away from the blitz here.
That's right.
Breaks in on the outside. Another Stanford grad there. He and Elway out of the same alma mater. And look at that. He was thinking about tossing that football. Better hook it down and take your first down. Be happy.
Now this drive started at the 20 for Denver. 4 first downs and their deepest penetration. Winder. Sammy playing more and more as the season has progressed with Tony Dorsett riding the bench. Vaughn Johnson, Pat Swilling, pair of linebackers making the stop for New Orleans.
This defense, typical of the traditional football teams in this league. They're a team that will lay off. They keep everything in front of them. And their philosophy, very simply, is that we're going to force you to earn everything you get coming down the field. And we're going to believe that you're going to make a mistake before you get into the end zone.
Elway with that quick trigger, and Kay. Fine running by the big tight end to pick up a first down at the 20-yard line before Bruce Clark, the former All-America at Penn State, can track him down 13 yards. Kay's 3rd catch.
The thing that has been so damaging to defenses is John Elway's ability to get a little extra time and then rifle that football. He can throw it so quickly and with such velocity that you have no time to recover. And that's especially difficult for a team that plays as much zone as the New Orleans Saints play.
Winder to the 16-yard line. Clark trips him up.
One of the things that the New Orleans Saints wanted to do today is to keep Elway off the field by controlling the football. They're 2nd in the league in time of possession. almost 33 minutes. Only Chicago ahead of them in that department, and their plan, obviously, to try and keep Elway with as few opportunities to touch the ball as possible.
Well, it's worked. Here we are, 12 minutes left in the first half, and this is only the second possession for the Broncos. Underneath, Natil hit immediately at the 10-yard line. That won't be quite enough for a first down. Sam Mills and Pat Swilling elaborating on the stop. Let's take a look at the 5'9" Mills, who was a star in the USFL for Jim Mora.
Great leverage, great instincts. This is a football player that earned the right to play in the NFL, even though not many teams cared whether he was around or not. Only 2 teams even looked at him as he came out of the USFL. Chicago, where Vince Tobin had become the defensive coordinator. Of course, he was the coordinator for Mora up in Philadelphia, and he knew what kind of a football player Mills was.
USFL and the Saints have been an excellent connection. You look at some of the names: Hebert, Mills, Gray, Comiskey, Forcade, the backup quarterback, Gibson, a starting safety, Jordan, the blocking back, that came here to New Orleans out of the USFL. It's short by just inches on the measurement. That combined with an excellent draft in Mora's first year and some hungry players left from the Bum Phillips year. And that's the team you're seeing now, a definite playoff contender. 3rd and inches, and straight ahead as they wedge it out, and Elway has the first down. So 1st and goal for the Broncos at the 8-yard line.
Running in behind Gerald Perry and Billy Bryant. Perry, a very physical guard, basketball player with great agility, and weighs in about 310 pounds. Gives this Bronco offensive line some added punch up front.
3 tight ends used by Elway, and he sends Mobley in motion. Winder. Good job by Mills. He fought off the block of Mobley. Mobley is 6'5" and 256, just towering over Mills. He fought through the block and made the tackle.
Let's watch the flow from the inside. We can start it right here. This is the man we want to watch, Mills. Go ahead and turn him loose. You see how quickly he flows, getting away from Lanier right there. Really fine inside-out pursuit. They were able, that's Milton Mack, 24, I think, get the first shot on him out there, but that's great defensive flow.
2nd and goal. Good protection. And Mobley makes the touchdown catch. What a play. A flag is down. It appeared Mobley was being held. He fought it off and on his knees was able to react to the ball. But they're going to call it against Denver, apparently.
And maybe Mobley had pushed his way into the end zone. He is a very physical receiver.
Interference, number 89, offense, 10 yards.
So it goes the other way. Yeah, we'll take a look at it. Mobley pinned in the far corner.
We may not get out there quick enough. This play developed so slowly. Elway able to take all the time possible, and I would believe that the pushing had taken place before we got to the outside, but it's going to be 2nd and very long as they move the ball back, and the New Orleans defense is saying that's a breather, that's a little break, now let's keep him out of the end zone.
2nd and goal from the 18. Intended for Ricky Natil. They brought the safety man, Gibson, or Maxey it was, Brett Maxey. They used that defensive ploy very successfully last week against the Los Angeles Rams in winning a critical game in Anaheim, 14-10.
They brought Maxey up a number of times, stacked him inside, and he just became the 4th rusher. But the Rams, who had expected the Saints, they had not changed a great deal throughout the season. He expected the same kind of plan, did not react well to it.
So 3rd and goal. Into the eyes of the Stanford star, 28-year-old John Elway. Incomplete. Johnson didn't have a time to look for the ball. He was open. Vance Johnson straight upfield in the seam, but Elway hurrying his throw, and Johnson didn't have time to look for it.
This ball is perfectly thrown, and I think Vance felt that he was covered. He's not looking for the football. A critical mistake. He just turned his head back a second too late because that ball was really humming. Elway trying to throw the ball through the defense. He had some trouble early in the year by trying to do too much with his arm.
35-yard field goal attempt by Rich Carlos, who is 21 for 29 this year. And it is no good. He hooked it to the left. And they are delighted at the Superdome as the Saints maintain their lead.
Back at the Superdome, where Rich Carlos has missed his 9th field goal of the year. 8 of those 9 missed to the left-hand side.
And Gary Kubiak, you see his reaction, the holder, whether he felt he did something wrong or just disappointed that the Broncos had the ball for 8 minutes and 12 seconds, 8-12, to come up empty-handed. And Dan Reeves' fuse is running a little short.
I don't blame him. This is not a team that's going to beat itself. You've got to convert on your opportunities to get it in the end zone or at least get your field goal.
Well, they thought they had the touchdown, but Mobley was called for pushing in the end zone. Reverse to Hill. And Mo Hill out to the 22-yard line. Dennis Smith makes the tackle.
That's about as wild as this offense gets. Little reverse to Lonzel Hill. Basically, what Carl Smith, the offensive coordinator, will try to do is get the diversity into the offense with substitutions and with formations. The plays themselves are not complicated.
2 possessions, 2 touchdowns for the Saints. It is interesting, a contrast, a city that's known for being so flamboyant and heartbeat all night long, and here's a very conservative, low-risk offense used by the Saints for success. Flag down. Out to the 37-38 comes Reuben Mays.
George Halas and Vince Lombardi must look down from up there somewhere and smile when they see these Saints play, because they play in the tradition of those great teams. The power running game, the low-risk offense, the steady defense, and then I think the thing that they've added here in New Orleans, great kicking game. 2 best kickers in the NFL as a tandem.
Number 63, offense, 10 yards, still second down.
Left guard Brad Edelman from Missouri debating his case, but 10 yards marked off against the Saints, their first mistake of the day.
Edelman just back into the lineup, has been injured, maybe having a little bit of trouble getting back into the swing of things, relying too heavily on his hands.
Second down and long for Hebert. And it's Mays again. Oh, you can see the tremendous acceleration of Mays in his 3rd year out of Washington State. Grew up in Canada, migrated to Pullman, Washington, where he starred with the Cougars and made the Pro Bowl each of the last 2 years. 15 yards on that carry.
Buford Jordan just going out to get a block there, but that's twice today on 2nd and 20 that they have run the play, and Mays able to pick up big yardage and get them 3rd and short. A lot easier at 3rd and short than it is at 3rd and 20, Dick.
3rd and 2, as Mays already was 61 yards in this game. Hebert using 4 wide receivers, shotgun. Underneath he goes to Perriman, and the rookie from Miami of Florida has the first down. His first catch of the day, 4 yards on the play.
They're excited about Perriman, but he's the 4th wide receiver in this combo.
San Diego's new kicker, Steve DeLine, a 38-yarder, and the Chargers trying to make things difficult on the Rams. The other late games. Here it's 14-0 New Orleans. The Saints leading the Rams by a game and 49ers by 2 games in the NFC West. And a big first down. Hebert over the middle. There's Martin. Eric Martin with his 4th catch of this first half. 64 on the year for the busy wide receiver from LSU.
Hebert basically is a 3 or 5 step drop passer. He'll drop back and get that football off so quickly that it's very, very difficult to get a rush on him. And he's a very accurate passer. Came out of the USFL with a reputation as a bomber. But Jim Mora has settled him down and got him disciplined to throwing the short patterns, the kind of an offense that has been so effective for the Saints.
He's only missed on 1 throw. He's 10 for 11 in this first half. First down. Batted in the air and caught by Hebert. You think things aren't going right for the Saints? Oh, my. A 2-yard reception for Bobby Hebert catching his own pass.
Well, I've seen quarterbacks catch their own pass, but usually get tackled in the backfield. Hebert does not like to run. He's got a leg that's bothering him a little bit, but he's a good runner and a very big and strong quarterback. Gets a little help with a clip right there from Lonzell Hill, number 87, that the officials did not see. Hill laid on the ground after he made that play, hoping that the flag wouldn't fall on top of it.
Well, that's how you keep your numbers up there. Catch your own passes. He's done it twice this year. Second down and 8. Dalton Hilliard. Boy, is he a good-looking runner, and he has a first down at the 42. He's only 5 feet 8 inches tall, but 204 pounds, has thighs like Earl Campbell, and he runs so low to the ground with speed and power. Boy, do they have a 1-2 punch in Mays and Hilliard.
Well, they got Craig Hayward in the wings waiting, their number 1 pick, who is also, if you talk about power, you're talking about somebody who goes into another dimension. So they are well stocked here with running backs, although Hayward injured at this moment. There he is on the sideline. Look at the hips and thighs on that running back.
Ironhead, he's only 251 pounds.
Well, that's
5'11".
down from 280 in his senior year at college. A running back at 280?
First down. Mays caught in the backfield, and Mark Haynes delivers a loss back at the 47-yard line. Make it the 46. NFC West. And this horse race has the Saints now in front after the win last week against the Rams. 49ers really battling now for their lives. And Atlanta, a troublesome team, as they are involved in a scoreless tie against the Raiders today in the second quarter.
Atlanta and Kansas City both acting the role of spoilers here late in the year.
Second and 13. Mays to the 40. And again, Hebert and the Saints, almost every team in that situation, second and 13, you'd expect to pass. That's twice today, 3 times today, that the Saints have gone to the run on second and more than 10.
Their willingness to accept less than the first down. They want to pick up part of that yardage and get themselves into a 3rd and short. In fact, the Denver Broncos talked about breaking down 3 films. They said we've only found 1 3rd and 10-plus situation in 3 games that the New Orleans Saints have played.
3rd and 8, which is about as long as they're ever in. New Orleans already with 100 yards rushing in this first half. Hebert goes on top to Martin. Eric Martin, touchdown. talked about it, Merlin. The way Hebert kept chewing at him with a run and just the little short passes, and eventually you get all 11 men up there within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. And over the top he goes.
Yeah, then you drop the bomb on him. But even that pass, quickly thrown.
Morton Anderson's try for point makes it 21-0. And the Saints continue to march in.
Today's game is brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors, who invite you to come see the full line of cars and trucks. Mitsubishi, suddenly the obvious choice. By Black & Decker, quality tools that go at the top of everyone's gift list. And by Raytheon Company, where quality starts with fundamentals.
Well, the outstanding teams, Merlin Olsen, at about this time of the year, Thanksgiving time, really show their muscles, and the Saints at 21-0 have been very impressive. Anderson lines one down to Ken Bell at the goal line. And Bell, the former Boston College runner, with a flag down, is out to the 24-yard line. Brian Ford, a linebacker, made the tackle. He's from Washington State.
Probably see an illegal block here and a very poor field position for the Broncos to start this next drive.
The Saints have had the ball 3 times, have scored all 3 on drives of 76, 59, and 80 yards. Locked below the waist against Denver on the return. The total yards at this point with 4 minutes and a half left in the first half. Here's Dick
Personal
Jorgensen.
foul. Illegal block below the waist. Number 47 receiving team. Half the distance to the goal line. First down.
So they'll start from their 11-yard line. Denver has 82 yards. New Orleans 225 yards in 3 possessions.
Wow. Project that one out.
Dan Reeves trying to figure this one out. Back at the Superdome, John Elway and the Denver Broncos staring at a 21-0 deficit, and a New Orleans Saints team playing apparently at the peak of its game. And they'll start from the 11-yard line. And hit in the backfield is Tony Dorsett as Brett Maxey, number 39, the safety man, infiltrates.
Go back to the touchdown. Notice how quickly 1, 2, 3, and that ball's in the air. Beautiful touch pass on the fade to Eric Martin, and that's the kind of pass that I'll tell you, Hebert has thrown that beautifully all year long.
There it is. Just see Martin looking for it over that right shoulder. It's right there. Wilson helpless. Beautiful throw by Hebert. 40 yards and the touchdown. 2nd and 10. Elway throwing the ball near enough to Clarence Kay, but you won't convince the nearly 70,000 here at the Superdome that that wasn't a throwaway and a possible penalty.
Well, the rule says if the quarterback throws the pass only to avoid being sacked, you throw the penalty on him. But Elway, with his speed, pretty convincing. He did a good job of acting that one out.
Other late games, the Eagles leading 10-7. The Rams have countered on a Bell touchdown. And the Raiders trailing Atlanta 3-0. 46-yard field goal by Davis. Elway on the roll to get some time and throws across to Johnson, wide open. Vance Johnson out of bounds at the 33-yard line, and not many quarterbacks in any league can make that throw.
A team that plays a lot of zone defense gets in the habit, when a quarterback rolls one way or the other, of cheating their zones to the roll. That's dangerous against Elway because he'll throw the transcontinental pass as he did there. You notice that all the defenders had moved over with Elway. Vance Johnson breaking to the far sideline, and the strength of Elway's arm made that first down possible.
Johnson having his best year in his 4th season from Arizona. He's over 50 catches on the season. A big first down as Elway and the Broncos out from deep in their own end, trailing 21-0. Little flanker screen. And yardage out to the 38-yard line is Mark Jackson. He's a tough little guy out of Purdue. He was fighting off some linebackers and picked up another 3 or 4 before Vaughn Johnson and Pat Swilling could drag him down. Hate to use desperation in the first half, Merlin, but Broncos almost have to score here before halftime to entertain any hopes.
You really have the feeling that the Saints, who are used to a grinded-out pace, if the Broncos can't get something going here, are just going to keep grinding and grinding.
A fake draw, and Elway then throws to Mobley, the tight end, who had a touchdown catch earlier, but it was denied on a penalty against Mobley. First down, brings a little smile to the face of Elway. At the 40, just across the 45.
Elway would love to be able to use the speed of his wide receivers deep, but so far those zone defenses are played off to such a degree that he's had to be satisfied with the short throws.
Approaching the 2-minute warning. Elway goes down, and a flag with it as 74. Ted Gregory makes the sack. Gregory, who was the #1 pick of the Broncos and traded here this summer, pays a dividend. He's from Syracuse.
We'll talk to Ted Gregory and Deshaun Knight, the 2 men involved in that trade. And there is
number 64, offense, decline. Second down.
Billy Bryant, the center, called with holding. But those 2 men, probably more than anyone else, wanting to have a great day here today to show those folks back there that they made a mistake.
And the clock runs down to the 2-minute warning, and there's the timeout. Now the Broncos, with that sack, will be looking at second and around 18 from their own end and looking up at a 21-point lead for New Orleans. The other headlines of the day: Buffalo, Scott Norwood's field goal beats the Jets. Moon, 3 touchdowns, the Oilers win. Brooks had a big day for Cincinnati. And the New Orleans Saints as a team having a big day. Elway trying to force one, but Van Jake's able to knock it away from Vance Johnson. Here are the headlines. The Cowboys have lost 8 in a row. We'll see them on Thanksgiving Day. And you know, the parity, the fact that the winning teams pick last in the draft has really worked. And you look at the teams now, the Buffaloes of the world.
2, 3 very tough years back-to-back that brought them such quality players, and now that's paying off in the best record in the NFL.
The AFC with a couple of wins over the NFC. Houston winning, Cincinnati beating Dallas, Houston over Phoenix, so they have the advantage over the NFC on the season. Elway needs something big, and he's going long. Intercepted. Dave Waymer, 30, 40, 45, 47. Jim Turiga, the tackle, made the hit. Waymer with the interception. His second of the year. Just what the Saints need, the ball with a 21-0 lead. And Elway down 21-0, looking for something big, but the Saints were waiting for that long pass.
They simply will keep everything in front of them, and if you get greedy, this is what happens to you right here. They're not going to let you get that long bomb, and Waymer just back into the starting lineup after sitting down for a while, makes the most of his opportunity.
So Bobby Hebert, for the 4th time, his Saints have the ball. He's produced 3 touchdowns out of 3 chances, and Reuben Mays plows to the Denver 46 before Dennis Smith can make the hit. 1:27, the clock running. The Saints have all 3 timeouts. Reuben Mays again, right into the teeth of the Denver tacklers. Rulon Jones, 75, the veteran from Utah State, makes the tackle, and New Orleans calls timeout. 21-0, 71 seconds left in the half.
Mobile communication is the power to hold your world together. At GTE, we can put that power at hand. to take with you where it has never gone before. Into the skies, down endless highways, beyond all past limitations. At GTE, we give you the freedom of personal communication and the power of new opportunities. Because at GTE, the power is on.
My brother just did something very smart.
Very. 21-0 New Orleans. And it's interesting, Jim Mora, in only his third year, if he wins today, will be the winningest coach in Saints history. 21 years gives you an idea how glum and bleak things were earlier.
I really liked sitting down and talking to him, and yesterday the things that jumped out at you, a couple of them, he said we had to believe in ourselves, and that was my first task, to get this team to believe in itself. And also, he believes that consistency is the key. Well, you don't get much more consistent than his Saints have been so far in this ball game and so far during this season. They really have maintained it well.
The biggest margin of victory for the Saints this year was 20-6 against the Raiders. And you hear Mora, you'd have thought he'd lost the game. He said it was a lot closer than that. But they're up 21-0 in the first half today, and Hebert looking for more. Flag goes down as a fine throw as he zipped that one in to Mark Pattison.
That's the first time we've seen Hebert on the ground and really pressured all day long. They're going to call offensive interference on the Saints.
The officials are tightening up on that rule. All the coaches admit they have players.
Number 88, offense, 10 yards, still third down.
But it may not be a pick so much as Pattison just pushing off. There he is on the top of your screen.
Working on Jeremiah Castile, number 28, and Jeremiah is entitled to his position. You see Pattison just pushing and driving him off and then shielding him with his body. The last part of that, not a foul, but you can't push that man down the field. He's entitled to the position that he has.
So with 1:06 left, the Saints have a third down and 13 inside their 45.
They've run in this situation all day long. Let's see if they go to the draw here.
Hebert caught from behind by Steve Wilson. Wilson on a safety blitz or corner blitz. And for the first time, the Saints are unable to move the ball to a score. And a timeout called by Denver. They want to try to get something before the intermission. Coaches feel should get more play is this one, the sack differential. The Broncos have recorded 27, allowed 22, a +5, and the Saints are a +8. And that, like the turnover table, is a critical statistic.
Very telling. The Broncos stat a little bit deceiving because 6 of those 27 came in that game against Cleveland last week. So the pressure has been consistent but not great during the year.
Brian Hansen punting for the first time, averaging 40.5 yards per kick. Ricky Nattiel, the lone man back for Denver, 10 men on the line of scrimmage for the Broncos. And they're going after him, but he wheels it out of there. Nattiel at the 24. Good coverage. And Troy Cook able to get a hand on the jersey and ride him out at about the 33-yard line. 36-yard punt, 11-yard return. And the Broncos have 53 seconds and 2 timeouts to try to get on the board.
You could have asked Jim Mora yesterday to write the perfect script for the first half. He would have written it as it has been played.
Well, it started with the opening possession as Mora Saints just took it right at Denver's defense. Went down the field 76 yards in 12 plays, and Mays scored. Elway spun around, still fighting for his life. Throws to whom? There are a lot of offensive linemen there, but no eligible receiver was very close to that ball.
Steve Sewell, the closest, was coming back to try and help Elway. But watch Elway use his strength to spin away right there. Linebacker coming from the outside. Swilling. Pat Swilling. You'll see, right, the closest man, left-hand corner of your screen. Coming back up was Steve Sewell, number 30, but Elway just threw that one away.
Elway, who is in the minus pool, 11 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, a -3 this year. Through the hands of Nattiel, wouldn't have gotten him much anyway. Troy Cook was there, extra defensive back. So that was a former Stanford baseball star, Elway, throwing, and Troy Cook, a former baseball star at Stanford, defending. Cook was the cleanup hitter on Stanford's NCAA championship team. There he is.
Elway played his first collegiate football here in this stadium back in '79 as a freshman. He came in for Turk Schonert in a game against Tulane, and they were just getting shelled. He got a quarter and a half. I said, "How did you do?" He said, "I got beat up about as badly as the team did."
And it hasn't been much kinder today. Elway finally finds a man open, and into the 48-yard line of New Orleans goes Mark Jackson. And again, Jackson, a little man at 5'9", 177, running through tacklers to pick up extra yardage. 30 seconds left in the half. And for Denver, one timeout remains.
Steve Sidwell's defense forcing John Elway to be patient to pick, and that's not easy for him when he looks up at that scoreboard. He wants to get it down the field, feeling the urgency of that. There's Sidwell with the headset on, the sweater on, talking to linebackers on the far side. Lon Johnson, number 53. Sam Mills, number 51. He'll relay signals through both of those linebackers out onto the field.
Vernon, we should point out that the Saints are using Dwayne Board. They acquired him a couple of days ago on the waiver wire from the 49ers. It shocked San Francisco. They thought they could slip Board through and no one would claim him, but the Saints have taken Board. Number 76 was an outstanding pass rusher.
Well, and they'll use him today after just a few days in camp. I watched him walk around yesterday with his own private coach trying to get him filled in on this defense. Not easy to do.
Elway flushed out, will run to the sidelines, and no, doesn't kill the clock. That was surprising. 20 seconds left. He could have gone out of bounds. He did not. Now he has to use the timeout. Oh, my.
Elway, I think, glancing up, figuring he could make a few extra yards, but the wise choice there would have been to take it right to the sideline. He simply made an error in judgment. 17 yards on the rush for Elway, and with that rush, he moves up the line. It's perhaps an insignificant statistic, rushing by a quarterback. In fact, some coaches think it's not a good statistic, but the names that he passes are interesting. Last week, he passed Roman Gabriel, your old quarterback, and with that run, he just went by Billy Wade to become the number 20th all time, and Bart Starr, by the way. Some great names. Watching Elway in the locker room, in the training room early, that right ankle heavily taped. That's the ankle that was injured against Atlanta earlier in the season. He feels he's about 95% on his mobility now, but still does not have the quick move side to side that he had and exhibited through the last two seasons when he was so tough to catch and bring down.
By not running out of bounds and Elway using the last time out, he's made this play call much more difficult. It would be, at best, a long field goal try, and Elway has to use the sidelines, and it's deflected, incomplete, intended for Steve Sewell. 12 seconds, time for at least one more play.
They've got to pick up about 10 to give Carlos an opportunity for something he can convert on here. But very important to try and get something on the scoreboard so that you don't feel like you have been totally shut out of this first half. That miss by Carlos looming bigger, although with the size of the lead for New Orleans, it may be totally insignificant.
Well, they're within his range. A field goal here would be about 48, 49 yards. So Elway doesn't want to be taken down for a loss either. Flags go down. I don't think he got it off in time. Or was there contact?
False start, number 76, offense, 5 yards, still second down.
Ken Lanier At 5 yards is a costly 5 because now a field goal from this point would be over 50 yards.
Ricky Jackson dropping down to a three-point position to rush the passer on that side. Very quick upfield. He's a linebacker that's big enough to rush from that position. And Lanier, wanting a little extra time, tried to beat the snap a bit, but that puts them in a very dangerous position. They may not even be able to get a shot at a field goal unless they can pick something up quickly here.
12 seconds left. Out of the backfield, Vance Johnson ruled a catch outside the 32-yard line. Only consumed 3 seconds to get 4 yards.
And the field goal team will come onto the field. Carlos 2 for 2, the 50-plus range this year.
His longest was matched this year, 51. Longest he's ever kicked. He has already missed one today from inside the 40. This one will be exactly 50 yards. Wide to the right. He hooked to the left and was compensating for the hook. This one went dead straight and wide. Now 3 seconds left, and the Saints have a final play to end the half. So Carlos has missed from 35 and now from 50 yards.
Trying to use a little body English to move that one over. Did not help.
Not much for Dan Reeves to lean on at halftime that is positive in this game. And for the Saints, they have played a near flawless half. And now they kneel down by Hebert, and that is the end of the first half. First place, New Orleans, leading Denver, tied for first, 21-0. NFL Live halftime. In a moment, first these words from your local station.
Say, hey, why not us? Why not the New Orleans Saints?
And to survive a division that has the Rams and 49ers is certainly a test of that mettle. Of course, last year all those hopes were dashed here in the Superdome when the Vikings blistered them in the first round of the playoffs. And this kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. The second half kickoff as the Saints will send it toward Denver, leading 21-0. Morton Anderson, Ken Bell, and Jason Johnson at the other end. It'll be Johnson picking up a tricky spinner, and he doesn't make it to the 20-yard line, down at the 18. The closest the Broncos could come in the first half, a couple of missed field goals by Carlos from 35 and from 50 yards, while the Saints scored touchdowns on their first 3 possessions, 3 long, impressive drives, grinding it out and then picking the spots for the pass, including the third touchdown, a 40-yard pass from Hebert to Eric Martin. John Elway starts with Sammy Winder in the backfield and Tony Dorsett. First down plays. Boy, the Saints love that, getting 5 on an average. Elway to Natil. And the little flanker screen gets about 7 before Swilling and Maxey can make the tackle. Well, the Broncos have been a schizophrenic team throughout the course of this year, and haunted perhaps by their problems in the last 2 Super Bowls. Those 2 terrible losses, Pittsburgh, that was without Elway. He was injured, and then Indianapolis storming over them. Then they came back, allowed only 11 to Kansas City and 7 last week to Cleveland. That gave fans in Denver some high hopes that they were back on track. Now, the first half doesn't indicate that, and we'll see just what they're made of here in the second 30 minutes.
Dick, New Orleans ripping off the mask to expose the weakness that was so glaring in the last 2 Super Bowls, the inability of the Broncos to stop the running game. They have just been able to, New Orleans has just been able to drive the ball into the line. You saw those first down stats. And that has set up the running or the passing game, the play-action passing game, which has been the key for the New Orleans offense so far in the ball game.
Triple tight end on 3rd and 1. And it's Winder hit at the line of scrimmage. He struggles forward. It'll be close, and a flag is down. Vaughn Johnson, 53. Keep Jim Wilkes, 94. And Brett Maxey, 39. Sticking their nose in on the ball. And now we'll check the flag. Holding Denver. So even if he did make it, a 10-yard penalty faces the Broncos. They may measure first before the Saints decide on the penalty. Apparently he did not have enough yardage for a first down anyway. So 4th down and a yard to go.
Holding, number 64, offense, decline. 4th down.
Well, Bill Bryan, the center, hit with holding for the 2nd time. Oh, Mike Horan comes in to punt, and Mel Gray, a dangerous return man at the other end.
Really deflating. You come out, you want to set the tempo in the second half, and you're 3 and out offensively.
Return is on. Short kick. Gray. 35. 45. He's going to go all the way. "65 yards. Mel Gray, touchdown, New Orleans." Officially 66 yards for Gray, who bobbled the ball. He caught it with his body, and he's had some trouble fielding punts this year, but he latched onto it, and when he put on the speed, he flew by the white jerseys. Anderson adds the extra point, and New Orleans celebrates a 28-0 lead. Return a punt for a touchdown, 66 yards. Kendall gets to the 20, and that's all. Let's go back to a floor-level look at Mel Gray.
Ball bobbled slightly, allowing the defenders to get in close. Watch the missed tackles. Dennison, 1. Stool with a chance to get after him. Horan right there with a chance to get a piece of him. But Gray, with great speed and elusiveness in the open field, hits the home run for New Orleans with the big play on special teams.
You saw again Gray as he received the ball. He didn't catch it very cleanly. But boy, once in possession, that was 6 points. 28-0. Dorsett drops the pass. Well, it's 28-0 here. Let's check the other late games. Eagles and Giants tied early in the second half. San Diego making it tough on the Rams, still in the lead, as they have been throughout. And Atlanta 3-0 against the Raiders. The Raiders have been playing field goal games the whole month of November. And today we had 2 games where nothing but field goals were kicked. Minnesota got 4 to Indianapolis's 1, and Buffalo got 3 to the Jets' 2. Second and 10 underneath to Natil. A flag is down as Natil is hit right at the 30 by Vaughn Johnson and Reggie Sutton.
I think they're saying is that there's no play. False start.
Number 76. Offense before the start. Snap. 5 yards, still second down.
You know, it almost hurts, Merlin, to see a good team, a Super Bowl team, be beaten up this way. And it's the 3rd time this year that Dan Reeves has had to swallow, as his club has really been thoroughly thrashed.
You look at what they have done on their possessions today, and it's certainly the kind of thing that is going to be very hard for them to stomach. And I'm sure Reeves having visions of what happened to them on a Monday night in Indianapolis when they were thoroughly embarrassed.
Elway out of the shotgun. To Sewell, the all-purpose back, and Vaughn Johnson, 53, from North Carolina State. The leading tackler gets another. He's one of that Johnson company that seems to dominate the NFL. Johnson after Johnson.
If you don't block Vaughn Johnson, he's going to be there to get a piece of the tackle. Watch him flow to the sideline, and Sewell, who has excellent speed, just doesn't even get a chance to use it. The nice thing about this New Orleans defense, too, you don't see them missing a lot of tackles. They are very steady, good technique. Basically what they say to you, we're not going to give you anything. You're going to have to earn it, and you're going to have to earn it the hard way.
Out of bounds over the head of Vance Johnson, who was well covered. And here comes the punting team.
3 and out on their first series offensively, and the defense has done it to them again. New Orleans just with a textbook day in the way to intimidate you on offense and defense.
And Horan with his nearly 40-yard net average. Mel Gray took a big bite out of that with that 66-yard return. Gray back at the 40-yard line. This is Mardi Gras time here in New Orleans with a 28-0 lead. I mean, Mardi Gras' answer in the NFL, because the Saints fans have been celebrating the last 2 years, and this may be their easiest win of all in 1988. A timeout, 11:57 left in the third quarter. Yeah. Lee Trevino would fit into that crowd the way he was dancing after that hole-in-one last year. That's part of NBC Sports Thanksgiving tradition now, the Skins game. So be with us this next week. 28-0, New Orleans. Hebert sets up at the 41-yard line early in the third quarter. Runs to the sidelines and picks up about 10. Out of bounds at the 50.
One of the questions we have to ask as we're watching Denver's defense is how much do they miss Carl Mecklenburg? Such an emotional performer and a big play man out of the lineup with a fracture of his thumb, which he re-injured. They're hoping to have him back for the final 2 seasonal games. And Dan Reeves, I'm sure, saying right now, if we lose today, we may have written our ticket right out of the playoff situation totally.
Well, there isn't going to be any wild card team that would appear out of the West or the East. It appears that 3 teams are going to make it out of the Central, at least with 5 games to go. And of course, that is premature speculation, but certainly a reasonable one that the Central division of the AFC is going to dominate in the playoffs.
Well, both of these teams did something early in the season very similar. Denver lost to both Seattle and the Raiders at home. New Orleans lost to the Rams and the 49ers here at home. The New Orleans Saints have kind of made up for their loss here by going out and beating Los Angeles on the coast. They still have to play San Francisco, and Denver has a game against Seattle and the Raiders at home, but they are behind in the divisional standings and they head-to-head at this time.
Denver playing at Seattle and at Los Angeles. On 3rd and 1, Mays, it'll be close. He had to get,
I believe he's got it, Dick. He
to
does
the 49, and he did make the yardage. Needed a yard plus, and he got the tough yard and a half. Greg Davis has kicked another field goal for Atlanta, as you see the injured Bronco, and so Atlanta leads 6-0 at the Coliseum. And the Giants, on a Phil Simms pass to Baker, 9 yards, take the lead 17-10 against Philadelphia. Timeout, 11:27 remaining in the third period. The injured Bronco, Rulon Jones, the all-time sack man in Bronco history. He's okay, apparently. There are the scores of the other late games. Barrs kicked a short field goal for the Raiders to cut Atlanta's lead to 6-3. Here it's 28-0. It's been the Saints game from the opening kickoff, and Bobby Hebert has New Orleans with a first down at the Bronco 49. 11 minutes remaining in the third period. Reuben Mays, then the workhorse, struggles for a couple.
Carl Smith, the offensive coordinator for this team, and I'll tell you, he's done a great job working with the tools he has and in helping Bobby Hebert to become such a consistent quarterback. And I think the thing that Hebert has done so well this year is not to make the big mistakes. He has become the epitome of consistency at that position.
16 touchdowns, only 9 interceptions for Hebert. On 2nd and 7, just lobs the ball to Hilliard, and he's stacked up at the 37. It'll be a first down, New Orleans. Dennis Smith. Boy, that was a locomotive stopping tackle for Smith.
Such a good job of mixing pass and run on the day. Just coming in with a little swing pattern back inside, little circle pattern to the back, enough to pick up the first down. We mentioned it talking to Joe Collier about this Saints defense. The plays they run are not that complicated, but they're constantly throwing different formations at you and different sets of personnel, and there's no rhyme or reason. There's Tice moving over, changing the strength of the formation right to left.
2 tight ends there lined up shoulder to shoulder, Tice and Brenner, and then Martin in motion, and then they throw underneath to the rookie Perriman and get short yardage, as Perriman, one of the 3 outstanding wide receivers drafted off that Miami Hurricane team of last year. Michael Irvin by the Cowboys and Brian Blades for Seattle. A reminder, our viewers will be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player. We'll announce that near the conclusion of today's game.
I tell you, there aren't many good calls defensively when you're this far down. The offense can do anything they want to do.
2nd and 5. Not much there for Mays as he just does get to the 30-yard line. Merlin, is it because of the fact that New Orleans is down here in the South and it's not in one of the major media markets that no one seems to know much about the Saints? Why aren't they respected more?
Kind of a well-kept secret around the league, and I think there are a couple of things working against them. Feelings about a team change slowly. This is not a team that gets a lot of exposure, and there are a lot of folks out there who still remember the Aints and remember some of those sad years. The fact that they were able to play so effectively last year, 12-3, and that they're playing so well this year, the message hasn't reached everyone yet.
Hebert had to hurry his throw to Perriman and wasn't able to find his wide receiver, but incomplete, but certainly thrown to the... And he's not happy with that at all, this feisty Cajun, who is part of the spirit of this team. And that's kind of nice for the Saints that when it did turn for them finally, and it became positive, that they've got one of their own leading the way in Hebert.
When they say who dat down here, they say who dat Hebert. They know who he is.
That's right. Here's the man with a gun, a cannon leg, Morton Anderson, the best percentage field goal kicker in the league, trying a 47-yard. No, it's a fake. And Wilson, the quarterback, has a first down at the 19-yard line. No, it's Brian Hansen. Hansen, the punter, and Holder on the fake field goal, and Mora will get the attention of Reeves on that play.
I think what he's doing is sending a message to some of the teams he'll play later on. We do have a few tricks in our bag, and we're not afraid to use them. Good place to do that, to send the message, you better be ready for the fake field goal because we're not afraid to run it. They don't lose anything in this situation, and obviously they pick up the first down.
Well, first down at the 19. Leading 28-0 midway through the third quarter, and the Saints looking for more. Dalton Hilliard. Twisted down after a 9-yard gain. Darren Gilbert, 77, leading the way. Mike Harden made the tackle. Well, Dan Reeves and the Broncos, you may have to lock them up and force them to go into the Kingdome in Seattle. They don't like playing indoors. They've lost 4 in a row, and remember the last one was in Indianapolis when the Colts scored 55 points. Here they are in New Orleans underneath the roof and down 28-0 in the third.
Well, that streak actually goes back to last year, and I think the number on artificial turf is like 10 losses in a row. So Reeves frustrated by a dome and an artificial turf here today.
2nd down and 2. Hilliard again. Oh, he runs low to the ground. Like one of those motorcycles, you know, in those races where they get down there scraping their knee on the ground when they take the turn. That's how Hilliard runs the corners.
Watch him as he drops down low to go around, and you're right, Dick. He's hit bottom almost on the ground here. Simon Fletcher out there, and he just gets almost in underneath the tall, rangy linebacker. Sticks his head down far enough to pick up the first down.
1st and goal. Buford Jordan now the blocking back with Mays the tailback. And Andre Townsend comes across to bring him down after a yard gain.
Dick, we talked a few moments ago about why New Orleans has not gotten more recognition for the kind of football they played through last year and through this year. And we talked about the fact that they don't get much exposure and people remember them as they were. A couple of other things that work against them. They are not a flashy team. They don't try and knock you down with tricks, and they don't throw the ball that much. They just come at you and beat you with consistency. I think the other thing people remember, that 44-10 loss to Minnesota. There's some folks who are going to hold that over their heads for a while as well.
2nd and goal. Great touchdown, John Tice. The big tight end from Maryland juggles and squeezes 6 more.
Like a good fighter that goes to the body until you drop your guard, and then they go right to the chin. They hammer with their running game until they pull everyone up, and then they go over the top. Number 82, Tice, driving out behind a couple of other receivers, bobbles the ball. But that's sweet touchdown country. Tice, predominantly a blocker, happy about that one.
There's something like 22 brother combinations in the NFL active in 1988. Of course, Tice one of those, along with his brother Mike, a tight end at Seattle. 34-0 as Anderson waits for the injured Bronco to leave the field. I think it's Dennis Smith who is going off under his own power. It is Smith. Well, another impressive time-consuming drive by the Saints, 59 yards and 13 plays. With a fake field goal, extending that drive and setting up the touchdown, 8 yards. Hebert to Tice, number 1 in the Wild West. How about that? And the Saints have done it with their share of injuries as well, including that big tackle, Stan Brock.
Their best offensive lineman, ordinarily in their right tackle, and when he was in the playing lineup, this offensive line here in New Orleans, the match for any in the NFL. And one of the keys to their early success, he expects to be back by the end of the season and ready for the playoffs, and they're not doubting it here in New Orleans.
Anderson, after skidding a couple, sends this one almost out of the end zone. Jason Johnson will take the touchback at the 20. Well, I know Saints fans are interested in that Rams score, and the Chargers lead by 10 in the third quarter. Atlanta still in front of the Raiders in an all-field goal game now in the fourth period. And the Giants lead by a touchdown against the Eagles. Earlier today, Buffalo celebrated. Oh, how they celebrated at Rich Stadium as they clinched early. The AFC East and down. No, Elway gets out. And then throws incomplete to Kay. Ricky Jackson.
There he was. Yeah, he deserved a unison announcement of that. Came all the way around, but Elway strong enough to spin him away. Watch him right side of your screen, 57, but he doesn't maintain his grasp on Elway. Elway still could not find anyone home as that play goes harmlessly out of bounds. And it has been a long afternoon for John Elway. With that many points on the board, defensively, you can begin to take all kinds of risks. But this is still a very basic offense. They're not going to give Elway any chance to go downtown.
Now look at the deep men are 15 yards off the ball. So Elway goes underneath the Wilhite, who moves to the 27-yard line where it'll be 3rd down and 3. Vaughn Johnson, Van Jakes made the tackle. We talked about Vaughn Johnson, 53, one of the many former stars out of the USFL that have strengthened this Saints team, and the fact that he's part of that Johnson combination. There's the two Johnsons with Cleveland, Mike and Eddie. Pepper Johnson with the Giants, Troy Johnson with the Bears, M.L. Johnson with Seattle, all linebackers in the NFL. Elway completes it to Mark Jackson and a first down at the 36. Van Jakes from Kent State makes the tackle.
Jim Finks has done a fine job of building this team. Coming here from Chicago, of course, he was one of the builders that helped to bring the Vikings to power, and then moved to Chicago, and then came here. Done a good job of drafting, a good job of trading.
That's a great poster. The three amigos playing off Denver's wide receiver. That's Finks, the owner Benson, the coach Mora. Elway under pressure gets it to Natil, a 9-yard pickup to the 45-yard line.
If you talk to Finks about where the holes are, as you see Natil a little slow getting off the ground, in fact very slow. There's still areas that they need to build strength in. One of them defensively is they need to be able to pressure the quarterback more aggressively. They've only had 22 sacks. They only had 22 coming into today. They've got 1 here today, so a total of 23. The acquisition of Dwayne Board should help that situation, 4 to 5 pass rusher. But that's one area they'd like to improve, and also the speed of their defensive secondary. They do have excellent linebackers, but those two areas need improvement.
You look at Board, the ex-49er. Natil apparently twisting an ankle. Dennis Smith went off with a twisted knee, but they say it's not serious. He should return. But we talked about the Chargers out at the Raiders. Merlin, they had a kickoff return for a touchdown, San Diego. Listen to this one, as much as we get the report. Sammy Shields, well, apparently Charles White with a score 17-14. San Diego. White fumbled. Browner picked it up, went 25 yards, lateral to Sammy Shields. He went 50 yards for a touchdown to make it 24-14. Sammy Shields. Ricky Jackson, the tackle. It's a first down for Denver out near the 47-yard line.
An ex-Raider getting a chance to do something for the Chargers.
The Superdome, when it's jammed right to the aisles, will seat about 70,000. There's 68,075 here today. And this has been a feast for the Saints fans who can never get enough after those many, many years of suffering. It's short of Mark Jackson at the 40-yard line. Van Jakes on the coverage. Well, the news is hardly good for Denver fans here in New Orleans. I guess you start looking elsewhere. The good news is that Seattle, tied with Denver at 6-5, has lost at Kansas City today, and the Raiders are losing. And we might see a Western team with a 500 record or worse go into the playoffs. Elway, the quickie to Mobley, and the tight end fumbles. New Orleans recovers, although they ruled it dead. The play is dead, At the 49-yard line, Sam Mills came up with a ball. Waymer made the hit.
Chance for you to watch the play at home as Mobley tries to jump over the top, and I'm not sure he was on the ground before that ball popped loose. I don't know that they're going to have a chance to review it, but it's been a bad enough day for Denver already.
1:45 remaining in the third period. 35-0 New Orleans. Elway, what a catch by Jackson. Going up to spear that bullet. Brett Maxey 39 and Troy Cook 41 on the coverage.
Forward progress will give them the first down. They'll mark it down on the 41-yard line.
And Keith Karts goes limping off for Denver.
This happens inevitably in a losing contest. And it's amazing, Dick. You look at teams, and when they really get behind, injuries seem to mount. I don't know whether it's because people try to do too much, whether they kind of lose their innate ability to protect themselves or what, but it happens.
Last minute of the third quarter. Elway on first down. Finally finds Vance Johnson. He's knocked out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Well, what's the other news, Gail?
All right, Dick, tremendous play in the Chargers game. The handoff comes to the Rams' Charles White. He fumbles right into the arms of Keith Browner. Now, Browner heads down 25 yards, then laterals to Sammy Seal. He goes another 50 yards, 75 in all off the fumble. 24-14 Chargers. Back to New Orleans.
Well, that's all. But all we haven't seen here from New Orleans, they may borrow that play.
Yeah, we saw Browner with a long touchdown run early in the year, but I think he figured he'd give that one to someone faster.
Throwing for Johnson, and there's going to be interference by Jakes, who was beaten and saved the touchdown, perhaps, by tackling Johnson at the 5-yard line. No doubt about that one. 28-yard penalty. Actually, they'll spot it at the 6. This will be the deepest penetration by the Broncos today.
Jakes shaking his head.
Number 22, defense, first down.
They talk about the speed of that secondary being a bit of a problem, although it certainly has not been evident here today. Well, we won't have to say anything about that one.
You know, that's got to be embarrassing for Jakes. He was hoping the ball get there a little sooner.
I'll tell you this, New Orleans' defense has not done many things wrong today. They have made very few errors on the day.
Jakes, who played his high school ball in Buffalo. So that town aglow with such a great year for the Bills. And Denver has called a timeout with 38 seconds left in the third quarter. It's all New Orleans. Broncos in the final seconds of the third quarter trying to save the shutout, or ruin the shutout, trailing 35-0. You played both indoors and you played at Tulane Stadium in the Sugar Bowl on some hot, humid days.
Dick, I was so glad to see this stadium built because we played down here one day with about 95 degrees, 99% humidity. I was drinking liquids all during the game. I still lost 24 pounds.
24
pounds during the game itself. So I was happy when we were able to move inside.
And the Saints, even in those losing years, their fans made a lot of noise.
You bet they did.
And now it's real. And again, Elway had to throw the ball away, and no penalty flag, and the fans unhappy with that as Jim Wilkes from San Diego State applied the pressure.
We talked about the importance of getting the heat on the quarterback. Wilkes able to do that and hurried the throw by Elway. Left side of your screen, number 94, breaking out of the attempted block right there, and Elway's arm in motion, and that ball rifled straight into the ground.
There, Wilkes is one of the many unknowns, and not well known, but a fine player. He's been here 8 years. Now the pieces are coming together for New Orleans. 33 seconds left. The quarterback draw. Elway gets to the 3-yard line. It'll be 3rd and goal. Geathers, jumpy Jim Geathers from Wichita State in on the hit. along with Pat Swilling, 56.
Keith Bishop, number 54, with that big cast on the left hand, the fracture of that thumb on that hand, which is actually down in the palm of the hand. And at the beginning of the game, he tried it. He said he didn't want to go in there if he was going to get anybody hurt. But this is a game that's gotten so far out of hand, I think that Bishop felt that he wanted to at least have a chance to test that hand out in this ball game.
That's the end of the third quarter, 35-0 New Orleans. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. Superdome, that was in Super Bowl 12, and Tony Dorsett, then with the Dallas Cowboys, scored a touchdown on the way to a Dallas victory as Roger Staubach, the Hall of Famer to be, the star for the Cowboys, and the Broncos losing the first of 3 Super Bowl finals. And now Dorsett, number 33 with Denver, a quiet man again today. This is 3rd and goal as we open the 4th quarter. Elway incomplete to Sewell.
Vance Johnson standing all by himself in the end zone, raising his hands.
Look at Elway down in the end zone arguing with the officials. You don't see that very often. That's part of the frustration of this day for the Denver quarterback.
Blitz thrown on by the New Orleans defense, and Elway had to unload it. There was very little time for him. Had he had just a moment, he'd have seen Vance Johnson coming open, but he's looking to his right all the way. And that ball thrown out too far. Sewell unable to get there.
Trailing 35-0, 4th and goal. Incomplete. 29, Reggie Sutton knocked it away from Gerald Wilhite, and the Saints defense is the equal of their offense on this Sunday in New Orleans.
Sutton, who was replaced in the starting lineup today by Waymer, not fooled at all. And Elway again with heat has to try and get that ball high. You saw Sutton stretching up. Atkins last week with a saving interception against the Rams in that secondary. Now it's Sutton making a leaping play to bat that ball away and save a touchdown.
So New Orleans takes over at the 3. Denver had the ball for over 8 minutes on a drive in the first half and got no points. They've had it for 5.5 minutes on that drive and no points. Reuben Mays down at the 7-yard line. Good solid hit in there by Rick Dennison and Michael Brooks.
We talked about what New Orleans would like to do to upgrade their defense. Offensively, the thought very simply is they need to get their people healthy if you're going to get into the playoffs. The other thing they'd like to add, and they won't be able to do it this year, is some more downfield speed. Somebody to open up those defenses downfield so they can improve the long game. They certainly have the short game down pat.
Indeed. 81 yards now for Mays, the leading rusher in the game. Guess who the leading rusher for Denver is?
John Elway.
Yep, 22 yards. Mays again. Not quite to the first down sticks. Out to the 11, maybe the 12, Sean Knight. He was the Saint traded to Denver in the Gregory trade. Made the tackle along with Simon Fletcher. There it is, Elway with 22 yards. That's the best that any Bronco can manage on the ground today. And Mays with 83 for New Orleans. On the ticker, the bottom score, Chris Barr, a 31-yard field goal with 12 minutes left to tie Atlanta. A win for the Raiders would give them sole possession of first place in the AFC West. On third down, it's Buford Jordan. He rarely carries the ball. That's only his 3rd carry of the year. And Jordan from McNeese State of Louisiana has the first down.
He's usually the guy that does the blocking. His is the dirty work down there in the trenches. He gets a chance to carry the football, comes up with a big first down.
Greg Hayward not in uniform today. The big rookie from Pittsburgh, their #1 draft pick. He has a knee injury, but looked to be running better yesterday at practice, and they hope to have him back next weekend.
I'm very pleased, by the way, with Hayward in his blocking assignments. He is a devastating blocker as well as a powerful runner.
Hebert just flicks it out there and complete for Greg Scales, 253-pounder, a rookie from Wake Forest. Rick Dennison, the closest Bronco.
Most of Hebert's passes right on target today. His percentage extremely high. That's one of the few bad passes he's thrown all day long.
He's thrown the ball 18 times and missed on only 3. 2 of them for touchdowns. Former Demon of Northwestern Louisiana, where his receivers were Joe Delaney and Mark Duper. Back when he was a sophomore quarterback, he was second to Neil Lomax at Portland State in NCAA stats. Mays collared at the 18-yard line. Well, for New Orleans, I guess with a 35-0 lead, you can look ahead. Not easy. They got the Giants at home, then at Minnesota. Revenge there in their hearts. San Francisco, and finish at home against Atlanta. And Denver. Time running out on the Broncos. A wild card won't do it in the west of the AFC. Rams at home, at Raiders, at Seattle. And then we'll have them on a Saturday against New England to wrap up the year. All winning teams. Third and 6 for Hebert. Little pop over the middle to Lonzel Hill. And the son of J.D. Hill has a first down. That's just a little shot put throw.
He broke a bone in his right foot. A stress fracture 2 weeks ago. And the Rams had sent out an advanced scout before their game last week. He went back with the news that there was a broken foot there. He said, don't worry about Hill. Hill caught 6 passes last week against the Rams. He is tough, and that's a perfect little timing pattern right over the middle, typical of what Hebert and this offensive team for New Orleans have done all day long.
That was the first catch for Hill today. That's why you saw him in a rather celebrative mood. He has 48 on the year. Ruben Mays out to the 36-yard line and 7 more yards as he approaches a 100-yard day. You just had the feeling watching Mays yesterday in practice that he was due for a big game today.
And the sense, too, of the time-honored tradition of what happens to a team that loses control of the line of scrimmage. The Broncos lost control defensively early in the game, and offensively were soon in a situation where they had to throw the football. When you play one-dimensional football, it's very difficult to win.
Hebert with his pre-snap look. And it's Mays again. And he's over 100. And he's in Denver territory at the 45. 19 more for Ruben as they cheer him here in the Superdome.
Coming off surgery at the beginning of the year, felt he had to prove himself, went through the difficult times of arguing about contract, hasn't had a chance to play that much during the season, but boy, he is back in gear today. Look at how many Broncos are there. 2, 3, 4. He just runs right through those arm tackles. You got to put a body on him and get several more and wrap him up, or he just keeps right on going.
Well, that's the good news for Denver. The clock keeps right on going. 9:44. Into a crowd. It's Hill with a catch at the 35. Close to 10 more for Hebert. And they're not just running it down the field with a 35-0 lead. Those little short passes complementing a basic running attack. That's 49 catches on the year for Hill, while his teammate Eric Martin will be very close to the lead in the NFL. He was second coming in with 60 catches and has 4 or 5 today. Martin with 5 catches, so 65 on the year. And Hill, with 2 today, has 49. That's a good 1-2 punch.
We'll talk about Martin going inside and being unafraid. Hill is the same kind of receiver.
Buford Jordan. Lonsell Hill, and he prefers Moe, M-O-E, which stands for Master of Everything. I guess as a kid, he just, no matter what he tried, he was successful. His dad, an initial guy too, J.D. Hill, who was a 4th player picked back in '71. And then there's some more initials for Hill, F-Y-G. That's for you, Grandma. She passed away earlier this year and is remembered by her grandson.
A little note of respect.
Dalton Hilliard dragging 2 Broncos to the 23. Rulon Jones and Rick Dennison. It's another Saints first down. I don't know about you, Merlin, but I'm impressed.
They got high respect. They certainly do.
You don't have to know the names. They don't have to be headliners and household figures to appreciate the fact that this is a well-coached, solid football team.
The word discipline comes to mind very quickly. They do not make many mistakes. They do not beat themselves, and they just attack, attack, and attack.
I asked Jim Moore about those from whom he has learned. We'll give that to you in a moment. There's Eric Martin. He has his 6th catch of the day, and it's close to another first down. And Moore yesterday mentioned 2 coaches in particular. And of course, he's been an assistant at Seattle and with the Patriots, and a college assistant at Stanford, Colorado, UCLA, Washington. He mentioned Don James, the head coach at Washington, and Dick Vermeil, under whom he coached at UCLA. And the 2 qualities that came out for both men were self-discipline. Organization, self-discipline. And that's the kind of man this 53-year-old Moore is. And it's something this team really needed. They didn't have a lot of that in the past. Jordan inside the 10. Ryan and Dennison and company with a tackle. And the clock runs at 6:15 in the 4th quarter. 35-0 New Orleans. Some of you that might have been away on this Sunday throughout the country and didn't hear some of the earlier scores. Buffalo with the early clinch in overtime, beating the Jets, have won the AFC East. Cincinnati and Houston beating NFC teams. Cleveland stays in the running in the Central. The Bears have won again. Minnesota, that's a big win as they stop the Indianapolis winning streak. All field goals. Hilliard dancing but can't get away from Randy Robbins, number 48. That'll bring up 3rd and goal. Other finals today. Kansas City. Boy, they play so well at home. Frank Gans beat Seattle again at home. Wayne Fonts, the new head coach of the Lions, presented with a win in his debut. And now the late games, the Giants by a touchdown. San Diego's lead cut to 7 as Lansford kicked a 20-yard field goal with 14 minutes left. And Atlanta leads 12-6. Understand Mark Vlasic, though, the quarterback for the Chargers, a serious injury of the left knee in that game. I think we said 3rd and goal. It's 3rd and 8. Whoa. Hebert underneath. Eric Martin.
I think he's got the first down. He does. He's down inside the 2-yard line.
Let's see where they spot it here.
Oh, they're going to bring it back out. Apparently his knee touched down before he stretched out because the ball ended up down on the 1-yard line.
They'll measure, and it is a 1st and goal, New Orleans. Hebert has good hands. I wonder if he played baseball.
He may have done. Court puts this one a little bit low. Bounces once on the ground, but nothing has gone badly for Hebert. Able to pick it up, scoop it, get it out to the right, pick up the first down. Good job by Martin of running with the football after he caught it.
So the Cajun from Cutoff, Louisiana, Bobby Hebert, leading 35-0, sets up his team late in the fourth quarter with a chance to even add to that huge lead. 4 shots from the 2. Hilliard stopped inside the 1.
Excellent block on that play by Hobie Brenner. Brenner is the tight end who's had a pulled abdominal muscle. On the outside, they stacked 2 tight ends over there. There's Brenner. They are happy to get him back for the stretch. Both he and Tice, and you'll see them both blocking on that play. 82 is Tice, 85 Brenner. Strong enough as tight ends that they could probably play tackle in the NFL.
And they use that double tight end offense very effectively with their running game. Mays comes in for Hilliard, 2nd and goal. Both Mays and Hilliard already have a rushing touchdown today. They might give it to Jordan. He doesn't have one. Nope. Mays again. And Castillo able to get him out of bounds, shy of the goal line. A flag is down.
It would appear that there will be a penalty against the Saints on that play.
Dick Jorgensen, the referee, signals motion against New Orleans.
Dick, well, maybe I could just take a second here because we've talked about the backs with all the yardage running and the passing that's been done by Hebert. Let's talk about that line. Jim Dombrowski, Brad Edelman, Steve Court, Steve Trapello, Darren Gilbert, all deserve to have their names mentioned today because without their control at the line of scrimmage, without the good blocking and the pass protection, that wouldn't be possible.
And it's a fairly young offensive line.
Right end, offense, still 2nd down.
Steve Court in his 6th year out of Arkansas, 28, is the oldest of the men you mentioned. Just a little lurch forward.
Talked about that injury to Brenner. That abdominal pull was something the trainer here had not seen a lot of, but they've got 3 of them this year. Bill Kontz, the tackle, is out with that same injury, and Pat Swilling, the starting outside linebacker, also an abdominal pull. So sometimes those injuries come in 3s.
Hard to stomach that sort of thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
2nd and goal for Hebert outside the 5. Eric Martin, touchdown. Martin with his 6th touchdown. 7th. He has 2 today, and that one rattled off most every part of his anatomy before he embraced it for 6 more.
Dan Reeves might be thinking right now that somebody's hexed the Broncos today. Nothing dropping their way. That ball bouncing around right into the hands of Eric Martin. And this, far and away, the most impressive offensive victory for the Saints this whole year.
It's been a season of very close games, win and lose for New Orleans. Not today. This one makes it 42-0.
Little play action pass. Now watch that ball. Off one defender right there. Castillo right back into the hands of Eric Martin.
Today's game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. And by Norelco Lift and Cut Shavers. We made close comfortable.
Dick Enberg, Merlin Olsen at the Superdome in New Orleans, where the Saints have just had themselves a picnic. It's 42-0 with 3 minutes left. Flag goes down as Jason Johnson goes out of bounds. Gene Atkins made the hit. Obviously, illegal use of the hands, Denver.
Illegal block, number 95. Receiving team, 10 yards, first down.
So Denver will start from its own 10-yard line, just having seen the Saints go 97 yards in 17 plays to take a 42-0 lead.
It's been a long day for Dan Reeves and for all of these Broncos.
Don't go away. A couple other scores and some surprises. Well, we've got a blowout here in New Orleans, 42-0, but elsewhere it's tight. The Eagles have just scored with 4 minutes to go to tie the Giants. San Diego still leads by 7 as they trade touchdowns in L.A. And Atlanta on a touchdown missed extra point leads 12-6 against the Raiders at the Coliseum. Gary Kubiak is in at quarterback for Denver, and he hits his first pass. 9 yards to Gerald Wilhite as Elway will take the rest of the day off. 2:41 left. Here that Ricky Jackson was offside. Sewell goes out of bounds, a first down at the 23-yard line, a 3-yard play. Tonight, the magical world of Disney brings back an American hero, Davy Crockett, starring Tim Dunnigan and Johnny Cash on the magical world of Disney, a 2-hour movie presentation for the entire family. Then Vanna White. Now, is that a combination? Davy Crockett to Vanna White, the goddess of love. No man can resist her. Tonight, only on NBC. Oh, my. Okay. Kubiak. Mark Jackson at the 30-yard line. Vaughn Johnson made the tackle. Believe it or not, one block from the hotel we stayed in, the Marriott here in New Orleans, is the club My Oh My. Honest, the club My Oh My lives in New Orleans.
Do you have a whole series of those across the country, Dick?
No. Ricky Jackson was about 2 steps offside. They didn't call it the last play, so he thought, well, I'll get an earlier start this time.
What Jackson does best, blitz and pursue. The first time he guessed with a count, he was right on it. Almost got the sack, guessed again, and got caught on that one.
Offsides.
Far left side of your screen, 57. You saw him just getting a one-step start on the snap of the ball. New Orleans just hammering Denver's offense on the day. And I got to tell you, at this point in the game, in fact, for about the last 15 minutes, both these teams want this game to just be over. It's decided. The Saints want to get out of here and celebrate, and Denver just wants to have it finished.
Well, there are a lot of A-pluses on the Saints report card today. Bobby Hebert gets one. He missed on only 3 throws, a couple of touchdowns. Mays over 100 yards rushing. Martin with 8 catches, 2 for touchdowns, and the entire defense shutting out a high-powered Denver team. For Denver, well, mediocre at best today. They just couldn't get anything going. Elway leading rusher. Jackson 6 catches and some tough yards for Mark Jackson. Carlos misses both field goal attempts.
Hard to believe after watching Denver just stomp all over Cleveland last week, but it's been kind of that type of year. A lot of teams with big games and then coming right back and not playing anywhere near to their capability.
But believe it or not, if you're a Denver fan, there's good news.
There is hope.
A final score. Atlanta 12, the Raiders 6. So all 3 teams, Denver, Raiders, Seattle, tied for first in the West, lose today, and they're all at 6-6. And I guess that's good news for the fans up in the Northwest as well, the Seahawk fans. Now they'll come down 4 games to go.
Well, does anyone want to take charge in the AFC West? Look out.
Kubiak just does get it away to Wilhite. The short yardage out at the 42-yard line. Vaughn Johnson with a tackle. The clock running, a 6-yard pickup. Caught and out of bounds goes Vance Johnson. He has now exceeded his very best season, his rookie year when he caught 51 catches, gets 14 yards on that. That's how the AFC West looks. San Diego in the lead could go to 4-8 if they hold on to the 1 touchdown advantage they have against the Rams. Meanwhile, the Saints have fortified their lead in the West. They'll retain at least a game lead and maybe better. Johnson hammering Wilhite, was not fooled on the run at all.
Quick story about Vaughn Johnson in last week's game, taking the signals. He misread a signal, called the wrong defense, put his team in position to intercept the pass and shut down Elway's last drive.
To the 35, Mills and Johnson make the tackle on Wilhite, short of a first down, and Denver calls timeout. 1:08 left. For those of you who stayed with us, now the A material. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the New Orleans Saints and the National Football League is prohibited. This game is the property of the National Football League. Denver and New Orleans, all rights reserved. Who'd that say we ain't the best? 42-0.
We're not going to argue. Not today.
Kubiak 6 for 6 in relief of Elway. 6 for 7 as Jackson can't handle that one. Atkins on the coverage. And for New Orleans, the news gets even better. Not only are they winning today atop the NFC West, but with 4 minutes to go, San Diego has scored again, and they lead the Rams by 14 points out in Los Angeles. It would appear, unless the Rams have some miracles brewing, that the Saints will have at least a 2-game lead atop the West. San Francisco has a tough one at home against the Redskins tomorrow night. There it is, San Diego 38, the Rams 24. Giants and Eagles in the final minutes are tied at 17. And the Saints fans don't want Denver to score. They want the shutout. And on 4th down, they're going to get it as the pass falls incomplete, intended for Wilhite.
Jim Mora called last week's victory over the Rams a humongous victory. They deserve to celebrate here today, and they're doing it.
Benson Boogie gearing up. There's the owner, Tom Benson. He came with the right time, made some good choices. Jim Finks, the general manager, then picks Jim Mora. And they are the happy three amigos in New Orleans. Davy Crockett and the Goddess of Love. Did you ever think that combination would ever hit? What a quinella. That's next on NBC. Now stay with us.
Brandon will get you for that.
Oh, but Davy Crockett, I wish we weren't on our way to the airport. That reminds us of some days of yore. Davy Crockett, what a big series that was a few years ago, and tonight a chance to enjoy a part of Americana. Final seconds tick away. One play has to be run.
Crockett part of the Battle of New Orleans, which was, of course, a very important part of our history. So we'll probably see some of that along the way in that series.
There it is, the final play of this New Orleans domination of Denver. 42-0. As complete a game against a top-notch team as you'll want to see in the NFL. And Dan Reeves and Jim Mora with a handshake, and the Saints will, well, I was going to say rest comfortably tonight. Not in this city. This is a night to have some fun. And we'll check some final notes. A couple of scores still to give you after this. Player award sponsored by Budweiser goes to Mr. New Orleans, Bobby Hebert. Budweiser makes a contribution to the United Way on behalf of all the MVP selected in today's games. Final look at the scores before we wrap up this day in New Orleans at the Superdome. And we hope your teams either won or still in contention for the playoffs. Giants and Eagles late in the fourth. San Diego apparently is going to upset the Rams, and Atlanta did upset the Raiders. Those are the late scores here. No upset at all. The favorite team, New Orleans, won big 42-0. Best records then in the NFL with 4 weeks to go before the playoffs. Buffalo is clinched. You see the star. They won today. The Bears apparently will clinch soon. New Orleans atop the West. Cincinnati is still atop the Central. The Giants, if they win, will be atop the NFC East. In Minnesota, Houston, the Rams, but the Rams could well go 7-5.
A day certainly for New Orleans to celebrate, and we talked about gaining stature and getting the respect they deserve. Well, they took a big step forward with their performance here today and their domination of the Denver Broncos.
42-0. Dick Enberg from Merlin Olsen, thank you for being with us. We'll look forward to visiting with you on Thanksgiving Thursday. Stay tuned for a big lineup on NBC tonight.